slides here. Now, for those of you that you don't know 2/1, it started many years ago, actually in the 1950s, even though it's now considered a modern system. It's probably well over 90% of people in North America play 2/1. Okay, a lot of teachers that I know actually teach it right from the beginning. Joan Butts does, and a couple of others that I associate with teach it to beginners. So if you can teach it to beginners, then you experienced players like you shouldn't be afraid. Okay, now just as an introduction to 2/1, I want to show you some bidding sequences. Now, if you're playing standard or ACOL or another system, have a look at these bidding sequences and then think to yourself whether you and your partner, if you're not playing 2/1, if you have an agreement about whether or not some of these sequences are forcing or non-forcing. For instance, you open 1 heart, your partner bids 2 diamonds, you rebid 2 no trumps, then your partner, the responder, bids 3 clubs. Is this forcing because it's a new suit at the 3 level? Is it pass or correct so you can choose one of your partner's suits, etc.? All of these sequences here, it would be rare for most partnerships to have an agreement about all of these sequences, whether or not they're forcing or non-forcing. So they can be somewhat ambiguous in that matter. Now, 2/1, if you're playing Game Force 2/1, it does iron out some of these difficulties and ambiguities. So that's one of the positives of playing 2/1. Now, it is a standalone system. So if you play 2/1, that is the system that you play. It's slightly different to standard, and some people use some aspects of it. Have you noticed when you're playing on step bridge that some people say they play standard with 2/1? It doesn't really mean much, except I guess what they're saying is that any bid at the 2 level after their partner opens at the 1 level is forcing to game, because that's the basic one Game Force, is that it's the signature bid and it's the name of the system. If one of the partnership opens 1 diamond, 1 heart, 1 spade, and responder bids a suit at the next level that's a non-jump, then that partnership is usually forced to go to game. They've agreed that they're going to go to game. That's the name of 2/1 Game Force, and that's the basic signature bid or sequence that gives it its uniqueness. Okay, so if you're playing 2/1, there are only 6 sequences that are Game Force from after a 1 opening. Now, so all of these sequences, unless you have a different agreement, if people are playing 2/1, this says we're going to game, partner. Now, I have to tell you that as with all systems, not everyone agrees with everything within a system. Have you noticed that in bridge? They say, yes, we play this, but we don't do that part of it. And, this is quite common in bridge. So there are some people that play 2/1 and some advocates that play 2/1 that if it's a 1 diamond opening...
oh, great. Are you going to join Richard with his lessons?
Hold on. Now I've just muted Anne, so you can't hear her anymore talking to Pam, all right? So you'll have to unmute herself when she comes back.
Richard, can I just ask a question? If you're playing 2/1, you'd never, as openers, say 1 club.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. one club's the most common opening, same as most systems, Betty, but it's not a 2/1 game force. You can't make a 2/1 bid after a one club opening because there are no suits lower than one club.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
Okay,
Yep.
so these are the only 6 bidding sequences that are game force. So after a partnership, and by the way, Anne, I put you on mute while you were talking. If you're wondering, if you want to say anything, you'll have to unmute yourself. Okay, so 1 diamond, 2 clubs, 1 heart, then 2 clubs or 2 diamonds, 1 spade, then 2 clubs, 2 diamonds or 2 hearts are all game force sequences in 2/1. I have to tell you that some people play that 1 diamond, 2 clubs is not game force, but don't worry about that. We're going to say that all these sequences are game force in 2/1. So that is the signature bid. Now the idea is,
Richard,
yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good, thank you.
Yes, you've unmuted now.
Yeah.
Now I want you to think of these, when you're the responder, I want you to think of your hand being in one of these ranges. Imagine that you play standard or alcohol or similar. And you're the responder. Your partner opens.
Okay.
If you have a minimum hand, and that's the hand where your partner opens 1 heart, you might bid 2 hearts. Your partner opens 1 heart, you might bid 1 no trump. They are minimum hands.
Excuse
And
me,
they're in
Richard,
the
I
range
can't
of-
see the screen. All I can see is your face.
Make sure he covers, if he's doing anything, he covers the tops of it.
Everyone else can see the screen, can't they?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's there, Anne, so
I
you
don't know
don't look
what
at
I've
my face. It's there somewhere. Can anyone pop round to Anne's place and find Heather, you're the closest, aren't you?
No, I can't run that fast.
Oh dear.
Okay. Oh dear.
I
So-
can see Anne and I can hear her.
Yeah. And you can see the screen as well. Anyway, think of these 3 categories that you have a minimum, medium and maximum. Now, these are colour coded as in traffic lights. Minimum, stop, we're not going too far. Medium, amber, orange, we could be going soon. Maximum, 13, green to go. So think of all responses in one of these 3 categories. Now, just keep that in mind because I want to show you a couple of things along the way and then refer back to these 3 categories. Okay, so standard bidding, if I'm playing with Anne and Anne opens 1 heart and I bid 2 clubs, I would be showing 10 points, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And we'd call that a medium responding hand, which is 10 to 12. But in 2/1 game force, if Anne opens 1 heart and I bid 2 clubs, that's now a maximum responding hand of 13 plus or a game force hand. Okay, so there's only a slight difference of a few points. That's one of the 2 major changes of 2/1 compared to standard. So instead of a medium hand to bid at the 2 level after a 1 opening, you need a maximum hand of 13 plus. Okay, so that's one of the changes, a few points, and there's another change that I'll tell you about in a minute. Okay, so look at the 6 responses that we looked at: 1 diamond, 2 clubs, one heart, 2 clubs or 2 hearts, and 1 spade, and all the other 3 suits. At the 2 level, in standard, they'd be all 10 plus points, forcing for 1 round, yes?
Yep.
And they'd all show 10 or more points. In 2/1 game force, which is what the system's called, 2/1 GF, which is the system name, 2/1 game force, they're all 13 or more points or the equivalent. So they're all saying we have enough for game.
Yep.
Remember that old saying we used to have, opening hand faced by an opening hand, you should get to game. That's basically what 2/1 game force is. A 2/1 bid says we're going to game, but we don't know where yet. So keep bidding and we'll find out. Okay, so that's the major difference in 2/1 compared to standard or other systems. Okay, so some of the advantages. Anne, can you see the slideshow yet?
Yes, I've got the screen up. Thanks, Richard.
No worries. Thanks, Heather, for running around. The advantages.
I can't see any of your pretty faces, but I can see them.
Oh, there you go. Well, you're missing out. You're missing out on me and Peter Westmoreland, especially. The advantages of 2/1 game force. It does simplify bidding in lots of situations. It saves bidding space. It says straight away we're going to game after just one bid or two bids, I mean. Then you focus on the hand shape and you have room to investigate slams. So this is why people, and I was going to say people like Peter and Heather have been playing 2/1 game force. And they seem to be doing all right. I'm not sure how Heather and Peter went yesterday.
We were one below a red point.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there.
All right. I was saying to Anne before that John and I have been playing in a couple of online congresses. So we played in the Sydney Bridge Club online congress yesterday. There were all up, there are over 100 pairs, 3 divisions, open and novice and restricted. So, and 25th out of 70 something in the open. So
Oh, well done.
four and a small loss and a big loss. But we're at table 3 going into the 5th round, but then it was all downhill from there. Anyway, and the pair that beat us in the 5th game, they ended up 6th. So we helped them anyway.
So, Richard, is that was that on Step Bridge?
No, it's on BBO.
Oh, okay.
And the sun coming up, I was saying to Anne, the sun coming up nearly every weekend from now on. There's some red point events. If you look at the New South Wales Bridge Association, and you'll see some of the events coming up. And they have open, restricted, and novice. But I don't know what the delineation is for them. But check them out if you want to play in them, because they're quite good fun.
Yeah.
And they use the ones that we've played in. They've had 6 8-board matches for the day. So they have 3 matches, break for lunch, 3 matches. But yeah, check them out. They're not too bad.
All right.
Okay, and they're played in Swiss. So if you lose, you'll play another pair that's fairly equal to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you play 2/1, we're going to do this more in lesson 3, but let's go back. Let's say Heather and Peter are playing. Heather opens 1 heart. Peter then bids 2 clubs. That says, partner, I have an opening hand or enough to go to game, and I'm showing you a club bid, which is generally a proper suit. And then opener describes their shape of their hand, because they know they're going to game anyway. So they can use the next few bids to show the shape of their hand so they can land in the right spot. They want to land on their feet like a Russian gymnast. They don't want to go, tumbling over and miss the dismount. Okay, so this is what happens. After 2/1, it says we're going to game. So describe the shape of your hand. We'll do more about that in lesson 3. Okay. Okay, so by the way, I know I might be preaching to the converted here, but just bear with me, because there are the initial difficulties if you're making the switch to 2/1 would be these. That a 2/1 game force only applies when responder makes a non-jump bid at the 2 level. So jump shifts are not part of 2/1 game force except by agreement. So a jump shift is when it goes 1 diamond and partner bids 2 hearts. That's not 2/1. That is a jump shift. So now some people get confused when they're playing 2/1 and they think that a bid at the 2 level, even if the jump, shows a game force hand, but that's not how 2/1 works. So, okay, and I'll talk more about this in a sec. So it's only a non-jump bids at the 2 level. Now I have some example hands, the same as the hands that I sent out to you. Did everyone get the notes, by the way?
Yes.
Thanks, Richard.
We did.
Okay. So in standard, after 1 diamond or 1 heart or 1 spade, this is, by the way, this is the other aspect of 2/1 that some people find difficult. Not the 2/1 bid. Instead of, as I said, a 2/1 bid is now a maximum hand rather than a medium hand. Well, the other bid that people have trouble reconciling is when in standard, after 1 diamond, 1 heart or 1 spade, a bid of 1 no trump, as you know, is sometimes a convenience bid with 6 to 9 points, yes?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So I open 1 heart and I'm playing with Sonia, and Sonia doesn't have heart support and she doesn't have spades, so she bids 1 no trump with her 9 points because it's a convenience bid and it's sometimes not even a no trump shape. Now, when you're playing standard or some other systems, this is a minimum hand of 6 to 9 or 6 to a weak 10 points. But when you're playing 2/1, it is now a medium hand. So instead of 6 to 9 for a 1 no trump response, in 2/1, a 1 no trump response, a 1 no trump bid by a responder, is now 6 to 12, not 6 to 9. So there's a slight difference there. So instead of a 3 or 4 point range, it's now a 6 point range. Now, have you, people out there who haven't played 2/1, you've probably heard of the partnerships talking about a forcing no trump, yes? Forcing 1 no. It's, some people play it as forcing, many play it as not forcing. Some call it semi-forcing, which is like being a little bit pregnant, I think. You can't be, it's either forcing or it's not. Okay, so I'll just go through some of these hands with you and I'll tell you what I think and what how a lot of people play it. So they're the two things, the 2/1 bid compared to standard. A 2/1 bid now shows a maximum hand 13 points plus and we're going to game, rather than 10 plus a medium hand, and we'll work it out later. And in 1 no trump response, instead of standard being 6 to 9 and I have a weakish hand, you can pass or do whatever, it is now 6 to 12 when you play 2/1. So
Richard, can I just interrupt there? Isn't
Yes.
Isn't the 1 no trump forcing you to at least 1 more bid?
No.
Doesn't it force?
No.
No.
Okay.
No, you can play it as a forcing no trump, but there's no reason to. And I'll show you a few hands in a minute, and I'll tell you why there's no reason to.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let's have a look. I've got some hands now to show you. Now, these are the same hands that I sent out. Now, these, if I've got it highlighted in blue, the bid as the response, that means it's basically the same bid that you would make if you're playing standard or 2/1. So the opener opens 1 spade. The responder with this hand, if you're playing standard, your bid there is usually 2 clubs. Now, you might be able to support in spades, but depends on what raise structure you play. Tell me something, Heather. What raise structure do you play in the majors with Peter?
We use Bergen, but
Bergen? Yeah, that's right. That's okay.
but on a
And
bid,
what about you?
yeah.
What's your raise structure? after a major?
We would use a switch there.
So, Sue, what's your raise structure? Do you play limit raises?
With that hand, we would just switch to 3 heart.
Yeah, that's what I do.
So
That's
you play limit raises. So 1 heart, 3 heart, 1 spade, 3 spades would be 11, 12 or something, yes?
No.
It's hard to get an answer, isn't it, out of people?
Yeah. Well, I think, Richard, I think Sue's trying to say she do the crisscross.
Yes, yes, I understand. But what is your raise structure generally? That means you play Bergen, isn't it? Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. I'm glad we got that hard question out of the way. I'll get onto some easy ones in a minute. No, okay. So if you're playing standard and you don't have a raise to show this type of hand, the bid that you would make would be 2 clubs, and then you would support spades later. If you're playing 2/1 game force, it's exactly the same bid. 1 spade, 2 clubs, but now if you're playing 2/1, it says, partner, we're going to game. I have some clubs. Tell me more about your hand. So we can then work out what game we're going to play in. That's what 2/1 says. Also with 2/1, because you have an opening hand in each hand, the opponents are reluctant to get into the bidding now as well, because you have 13 points opposite 14 points. So they only have 13 points between them. So unless they want to bounce in diamonds, they don't have many options to go to. Okay, so that bid would be much the same, but with different meanings if you're playing 2/1. Now, the second hand I have here, now imagine that you're playing standard and you open 1 club with the hand on the left, because you have 4, 4, 2, 3, and you have an opening hand. If you're playing standard, your response with the hand on the right would be 1 heart, forcing for 1 round, at least 4 hearts and at least 6 points. Well, in 2/1, it's the same. Bid open 1 club, partner bids 1 heart. You can't make a 2/1 bid here to show a game force in the initial responding bid. So you bid 1 heart first to see what partner does. So, okay. So, by the way, with some of these hands, I might use them as to extend the responses and bids later, but I just want to go through these first few. Okay. Now, what do you do with this hand if you're playing standard and your partner opens 1 heart?
Bergen raise.
Bergen raise. So if you're playing a Bergen raise, you can do the same. You can bid whatever you would bid there. Let's say you play standard Bergen raises of 3 diamonds showing 4 card heart support and 10 to 12 points, yeah?
Yeah.
So you bid 3 diamonds there as a Bergen raise. Well, if you're playing 2/1, you usually keep the same structure. And when 2/1 was first promoted widely in the 90s, Bergen raises are part of the structure of 2/1. Hold on a sec. I'll see if I can hear Pam knocking at the door.
So they'd be 2 diamonds.
No, 3 diamonds. I thought I heard Mike Pemberton muttering there.
Well, I was asking if you were playing 2/1, wouldn't you bid 2 diamonds there?
Not
No,
2
sorry,
diamonds,
you
no,
wouldn't.
because
Forget
if you're playing 2/1 and you're playing Bergen raises, you don't have to bid 2 clubs to force the game. You still make the standard bid. If you ask the 2/1 players here, Peter and Heather, if they're playing Bergen Raises, they bid 3 diamonds here. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep. Because they're saying I have a limit raise with at least 4 hearts, and you don't have to bid 2 clubs to go to say I have a game force. If you weren't using Bergen Raises and you wanted to force the game, you playing 2/1, 2 clubs is the bid, to bid your suit. Okay. Now, are you there, Pam? Can you hear us?
Yes, I am. Yep, thanks. Yep.
Okay, welcome
Hi,
aboard.
Pam.
Hi.
Hi,
We're
Pam.
just going through a few hands and talking about the differences between standard and Bergen.
So I had my 10 to 9 dental appointment, which
Yes.
took 30 seconds.
Oh,
Only took 30 seconds. I didn't get in there until, God,
geez, they must be quick with the pliers then.
I tell you what, it was over 10:30 before I had to wait.
Well done, though, that you got here.
Anyway, I'm home.
And you survived and you can speak.
Yep, not a problem.
Okay. Now, let's have a look at the next hand. Now, imagine you are playing standard. Your partner opens 1 spade. What do you do with this hand? You bid 1 no trump, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And so you bid 1 no trump if you're playing standard, because you've got 8 points, 9 points. So you bid 1 no trump, 6 to 9 points, and it's a convenience bid, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, it's very similar in 2/1. In 2/1, you bid 1 no trump with this hand. Now, instead of showing 6 to 9 or 10, it shows 6 to 12. Now, there are 2 schools of thought in 2/1. There are those that play 1 no trump as forcing, and those that play 1 no trump as not forcing against the minimum hand. So if you look at the hand on the left, the opener, with 12 points, if you're playing 2/1, the responder bids 1 no trump, and it can be up to 12 points. And it mightn't be balanced because it's a bid of convenience. Now, many people play that after 1 no trump by responder, even when playing 2/1, that the hand on the left is able to pass 1 no trump with 11 or 12 points and a balanced hand. So on this hand, if you're in that school of thought where you're not playing a forcing no trump, the hand on the left would pass 1 no trump.
Yep.
If you're playing 2/1 and you're playing 1 no trump as a forcing no trump, well, the hand on the left has to bid. And so on that hand, they'd probably bid 2 no trumps. And that's where you might stay. But look, there are 2 schools of thought. I play 2/1 game force with Frank Veering. We've played it a few times, including in the G-Knot final last year. We played it as non-forcing. So on this hand, we would be able to pass that hand on the left. If you want to play it as forcing, is okay. In my opinion, with this type of hand, you don't have to play it as forcing. And if responder has a strong enough hand where they don't want you to pass, they can make it be in the first place. And I'll show you a couple of those too, I think. But anyway, that's up to the individual protagonists. I know that Peter and Heather I think they were saying that they treat 1 no trump as forcing at this stage, unless they have evidence to the contrary that it might not be. So they're playing it as forcing. Well, that's okay. I'm just saying why I don't particularly subscribe to that notion, especially on hands like this. But, you know, it's an individual preference. Okay, I just want to show you, by the way, these hands get a little bit harder, so they're a bit more difficult. So now, what do we do with this hand? If you're playing standard, the hand on the left opens 1 diamond. And what do you respond with the hand on the right if you're playing standard?
Two clubs.
Two no trumps,
clubs.
depending on how you're feeling, yes, or what your agreements are about the no trump range. Now, if you're playing 2/1, if you're playing 2/1, if you're playing the full system of 2/1, after one diamond, two clubs is forcing to game. And it says, I have an opening hand, we're going to game. Some people also play inverted minors, and inverted minors are also part of 2/1 game force. You incorporate those bids, but it was originally part of 2/1 game force. But there are a few differences, and playing 2/1 is the same as when you're playing standard. You often get more than one choice, that it's not as clear cut as you might otherwise suspect that it is. So in this case,
Richard, with that one, if you're playing 2/1 and you play two clubs, you're showing 13 plus. Well, you haven't got 13 plus there, have you?
yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
13.
yeah. Okay, sorry.
I wouldn't lie to you, Heather.
I can't add up. It's all right. I couldn't add up.
That's all right. Yeah, 13 plus, and some people play. Some people play that as a inverted minor by bidding two diamonds, showing 10 plus points and no 4-card major. But that's just whether we play inverted minors. But other than that, this bid, I wanted to show you a few bids that are very similar in 2/1 as they are in standard. Playing standard and 2/1, the bid might be the same here, two clubs, and then waiting on the rebid. So there's not much divergence in many bids from 2/1 and standard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Richard?
Now,
So can I just ask a question?
Yes,
so one
Pam.
diamond.
Is it about dentistry?
It's about this.
All right.
So that open a one diamond.
Yeah.
In a normal, not
standard.
2/1.
Yeah, call it standard. Yeah.
Standard.
Yeah.
You go two clubs. Right?
Yep.
And then what's opener going to do?
Two no trump.
Two no trump, minimum hand, balanced.
Yeah, and then you go three no trumps.
Yep, you get to the same contract either way.
Same.
Yep, same contract. Most systems will always get you to the same good contracts.
No.
If the systems are any good. They're just often a different way of getting there or a different way of finding out what they have. But I think nearly every system there will get you to two no trumps. Playing Akol, it'd be a one no trump opening. If Sonia's still there by the hand on the left, that's the one no trump opening, 12 to 14. And the hand on the right will just bid three no trumps straight away with 13. 13 opposite minimum 12. Is that right, Sonia?
Yep.
Yep. There you go. Okay. So we'll move on now. They get a little bit more tricky. If you're playing, let's say you're playing standard, depending on your raise structure, the standard you opened one spade, you might have a bid to show spade support. If you're playing, all depends what you're playing. You mightn't be able to bid immediately show spade support. You can't bid two no trumps if you're playing Bergen. You can't bid Jacoby two no trumps because it will show support. You can't bid three, whatever. So what do you bid here with this hand if you're playing standard?
Probably I'd go to 4.
Well, in my opinion, 4's a weak bid, and you'll miss out on.
I'd go to two clubs.
Two clubs is the right bid that you make playing standard, or even 2/1.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it says I have a game. You have to make up a bid sometimes. It doesn't always promise that suit. You can't bid two hearts because in that situation it promises a 5-carder.
I bid two clubs. And
two clubs is the bid. I mean,
then whatever happens with that opener does, I'm just go straight to 4 spades then.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. You're going to end up with 4 spades, whatever you're playing. But I just want to highlight the similarities. There's bidding problems in playing 2/1 or playing standard, where you have to invent a bid and you play club there, and that's accepted that you do that in this case. Okay, now Okay, let's say we're playing 2/1 now. We've decided that we're playing 2/1. Partner opens 1 heart, and we have to bid with this hand on the right. And if we're playing standard, we would just bid 2 clubs here, wouldn't we, to show 10 points and 4 or more clubs, ostensibly 4 or more clubs, and wait to see what the rebid is. If you're playing 2/1, which you've got highlighted in yellow, that it would be a 1 no trump in 2/1. That's like Peter and Heather are playing. 1 no trump says here, in this case, I don't have minimum heart support. I may have 10 or more in heart support. I don't have 4 spades, and I have 6 to 12 points. Convenience bid of 1 no trump. Now, if you go back to what I was saying before, after a bit of 1 no trump, the hand on the left, if you're playing it as forcing and has to bid any, if you're playing this as non-forcing after 1 no trump, you would bid on with this hand because it's unbalanced and it's 14 points. So with this hand, you'd have to rebid. So Peter Webb, if you're playing 2/1, your partner bids 1 no trump, what do you rebid with the hand on the left?
I would rebid the hearts.
You'd rebid the hearts?
2 hearts.
I'd bid the diamonds.
Yeah, I think I'd bid the diamonds too, but I know what Peter Webb's like, so I thought I'd ask him a trick question. I don't really, but I'll just sort of throw that in. No, I'd bid diamonds too because it's forcing bid. And then the only reason I wouldn't bid 2 hearts is because partner will probably think I've got 6. And you want to show your shape. When you're playing 2/1 after a 1 no trump or a 2/1 bid, you want to show your shape if you can. So 2 diamonds would show at least 5-4. And I reckon you're going to be playing this in 3 diamonds. And I reckon no matter what system you're playing, you're going to be playing this in 3 diamonds. If you rebid 2 hearts, I think you'll be playing it in 3 hearts. But either way might be okay. But I think that's what you'd be playing it in. I can imagine if you're playing 2/1, that I think the bidding would go 1 heart, 1 no trump, 2 diamonds, and then the hand on the right would bid 3 diamonds, saying, I've got more than 10 points. I prefer your diamonds to your hearts, and I have less than 3 hearts, so I'm going to support your diamonds. And the bidding would probably stop there. But either way, you're going to be playing in 2 or 3. 3 of a red suit, I'd say. But that hand is also similar. It's not bid similarly, but in standard, it would go 1 heart, 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, probably 3 diamonds, and it's much the same. But it's just the bidding here, you'd bid 1 no trump. I just want to highlight the differences. If you're playing 2/1, this hand here on the right responds 1 no trump, which may or may not be forcing, which is almost forcing. And so the hand on the left is going to bid again. So that's one of the differences. So in 2/1, 1 no trump shows 6 to 12.
Richard,
Okay.
could I just put
Yeah.
in?
Who was that? It's Peter Westmoreland.
Peter without a face.
I'm Steve Hurd.
Yes.
If you had 3 hearts there,
Yeah, on the right.
Responder,
Swap the spades and
let's
hearts
say you
around.
put 2.
Yeah.
2 or something.
Sorry?
You'd still bid 1 on trump, wouldn't you?
Yes, still bid 1 no trump. Then after 2 diamonds, you'd bid 2 hearts, saying I had genuine heart support. Or 3 hearts.
So, Richard, would it be a good practice, like if that was Peter and he bid 1 heart and I bid 1 no trump?
Yeah.
If he was absolute minimum just with a 12, 11 or a 12, that would probably be the only time you'd leave the 1 no trump, isn't it?
It is 11-12 balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the opener's 11-12. But just discuss it with each other if you want to try it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I mean, I've had success either way because, you know, like I said, but there are a couple of different schools of thought with 2/1, that the 1 no trump, some play it that it must be absolutely forcing and some play it that it's not. I mean, these two schools of thought even have names in America, and I forget the names of them, where they, do you play this style of 2/1 or that style of 2/1?
Yeah.
Okay, but yes, that's how I think it would go.
Yeah.
Okay, hand number 8. This is another one that I've put in for for another response of 1 no trump in 2/1. That this hand, it opens 1 heart. Now, if you're playing standard with the hand on the right, you'd bid 2 diamonds.
Yep.
Okay. And then you're not sure where you go from there, but you bid 2 diamonds first. Playing 2/1, the hand on the left opens 1 spade. The hand on the right says, I am going to bid 1 no trump here, 6 to 12. Now, in my opinion, this hand would bid on with its 14.
Yeah.
And it's semi-balanced, but 14. So, Heather, would you, on the hand on the left after 1 no trump, would you bid 2 clubs on that?
Yes, yes.
Playing a second suit and at least 5-4 in the black suits?
Yep, yep.
Yep, okay. And then responder can show their hearts or bid 2 no trumps, can't they?
Yes, yep, yep.
Yeah, okay. So that sort of difference, you probably play this in 2 or 3 no trumps. And it's going to be close, isn't it? It's 14 opposite 11. So
if I played 2 no trumps there, if I came back 2 clubs and then 2 no trumps, my partner would know that I've got hearts covered.
yes, yes, and the red suits that are unbid, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't bid 2 no trumps if I didn't have hearts covered.
Yeah, no problem. So you can see the slight differences in, by the way, for you standard bidders out there, if it goes 1 spade and this hand responds 2 diamonds, what do you rebid with the hand on the left after 1 spade, 2 diamonds? It's a tricky call, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you bid 2 no trumps or clubs, which is sort of a game force now, isn't it? New suit at the 3 level. That's a tricky bid there for standard bidders. This hand is a lot easier to bid for 2/1 bidders.
Yeah.
Because that's a hard bid after 1 spade, 2 diamonds playing standard. I think I'd bid 2 no trump, but not with much confidence.
Yeah.
Okay. Now set. How's that carpenter? He's there, is he, Heather?
Yeah, he's there. He's in the background.
No worries. Now I've got some hands for you without the opening hand to show you. So now you're bidding 2/1 in the dark. All of you are in the same boat. You and your brilliant partner are playing 2/1, and you don't want to disappoint him or her. Your partner opens 1 heart. You're playing 2/1. What do you do with this hand?
1 no trump.
1 no trump.
Okay.
2 clubs.
Okay. Well, I've had 2 answers different to the one that I had. So there you go. That's good, isn't it? I like that. Now, first of all, if you're playing 2/1, you have to decide if your hand is good enough for a game force. It doesn't have to be 13 points. It can be the equivalent. Now, so you have to think to yourself with the hand on the right, is my hand good enough to force the game?
Yes.
If you don't think it's good enough to force the game, you have to bid 1 no trump here playing 2/1. Okay. Now, to you standard bidders out there, what would you bid on this hand?
2 clubs.
2 clubs.
Well, have another look. You have 5 diamonds and 5 clubs. What do you bid for 2 5
5 diamonds. Yeah,
by a
5
ranking? 2
Yeah,
diamonds.
5 diamonds.
So you bid 2 diamonds.
2 diamonds.
Yeah. So if you're playing 2/1 and you decide that your hand is good enough to show a game force hand, with this hand, you bid 2 diamonds, not 2 clubs.
Why?
Because because then when you rebid clubs, you're showing the 2-suiter and the minors. Now, by the way, I can imagine with this hand, for my opinion, I would treat this as a game force hand for 2 reasons, a number of reasons. One, it's a strong enough hand in losing trick count. 6 loser. And you have secondary support for hearts with an honour. So I would bid 2 diamonds with this hand playing 2/1. And the interesting thing about 2/1 is if you bid 2 diamonds, you're forced to go to game. Your partner can now describe the shape of their hand.
What about if there's an interfering bid of 1 spade over it, over 1 heart?
Well, if there's an interfering bid of 1 spade over 1 heart, most people playing 2/1 say system is off after an interfering bid. Is that how you play it, Peter and Heather?
Yeah.
So system off, but it would still be a forcing bid at the 2 level, but not necessarily game force, yes?
So can I just ask the question though, like if you were playing that hand as a 2/1, why don't you go up the line? Why don't 2 clubs? You could bid 2 clubs and it's still a 2/1, isn't it?
Yes, but let me ask you this, Heather. If you're going to open this suit, what suit would you open if you're the opener? This hand.
Diamonds.
Diamonds.
There you
Diamonds.
go. Same bid, and for the same reasons.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Same bid for the same reason. 5 card suits downwards, 4 card suits up the line, yeah?
Oh, okay.
It's into the dilemma.
That's the one, yeah. So there you go. Okay, diamonds. Okay, so if you're playing, no matter what you're playing, if there's an interfering bid of a number of spades on your right as the responder, then system is off. I mean, you can double. So if it goes 1 heart and they bid 2 spades, weak jump over call, this hand I'd double. So I've got the other 2 suits.
Yep.
And see what partner does. Partner may, if you're playing 2/1 and there's no interference, you bid 2 diamonds here if you deem your hand strong enough for game. Now, interestingly with 2/1, the first priority for opener is to describe their shape after a 2/1. Describe their shape. So if they bid 2 hearts now, they're going to have 6 hearts because they're going to show their shape. So now this hand could bid 4 hearts. So that's an interesting one. So 2/1 doesn't mean you have to have exactly 13 or more points. I mean, you have 13 plus points. You can have a bit less if it's strong enough for you to decide to go to game. The same if you're playing standard, 1 heart, you don't always have 10 points to go 2 diamonds or 2 clubs. The reason is you've decided that it's strong enough. Partner might tell you off later, but that's all right. You have to make a decision. It's your hand. Okay, a couple more hands here. By the way, there's the hand. Okay, there's the hand we're just looking at. 1 heart. And you're going to be playing in 3 no trump, no matter what your system might say.
I didn't drop down.
Okay. Now, Heather, are you a bridge student or a project manager over there?
It's all right. I'm back on track now. I was listening to you. It's all right.
It's all right.
I can multi-skill, you know.
Have you hidden him away for later?
Hidden him away. Hidden the carpenter away. Okay. He's in the other room getting hammered.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one for you good folk. You're playing 2/1 game force and you're playing Bergen Raises, just like PPH there. So you're playing 2/1 game force and your raise structure is Bergen. What do you bid on this hand?
1 no trump.
1 no trump. Sounds fair enough, doesn't it? So I just want to say this because this is different to standard. So you standard bidders out there, You'd be bidding 2 hearts on this hand, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yes.
5 plus hearts, yes?
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yep. Yeah.
slightly different here. You'd bid 1 no trump, wouldn't you? So if you're playing this as a forcing or whatever bid in no trumps, by the way, when I'm playing 2/1, people ask, if I alert, I don't say forcing or non-forcing or semi-forcing. I just say 6-12. We play 2/1 and this is 6-12.
Right.
You don't have to say that it's forcing.
Yeah.
It's 6-12. However people take it is whatever. They know your basic system is 2/1 because you've already told them. Okay, so 1 spade and you bid 1 no trump. Here is the hand, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so this is the hand, 1 spade, 1 no trump. Now, this is where I was saying, even after 1 no trump with this type of hand, in my opinion, it's okay to pass with that hand on the left, Heather.
Yes, I agree.
And not play it as forcing.
Yeah.
But that's something for all you to discuss. I mean, if you're going to bid, you'd probably bid 2 no trumps here, won't you? If it's a forcing bid.
Yes, you'd have to, wouldn't you?
You have to, yes. So you're going to play 1 or 2 no trumps, I think.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're playing this in standard, you're going to be playing it in 2 no trumps. It's going to go 1 spade, 2 hearts, 2 no trump, pass.
Yeah.
So you're going to play this in 1 or 2 no trumps, depending on your system. And you lose the first 4 or 5 diamond tricks in either system, but that's all right, you know, them's the breaks. Oh, by the way, when John and I were playing on Sunday in Step Bridge,
They came first.
And we won on Sunday in the Open at 1 o'clock. When we were playing, we doubled the opponents in 2 no trumps. We took the first 12 tricks. I said to John, I said to him, I think you misdefended. We should have taken 13 there. But he wasn't having any of it. So we took the first 12 tricks for 2,000 points. So 2 no trumps doubled. So there you go.
Oh, did the other people cease to play after that?
Yeah, well, there you go. What happened was I opened a suit. John opened. They bid 2 no trumps. As for the minors, I doubled because I've got the other major and secondary support for partners major, and their other hand decided that their majors were good enough to leave 2 no trumps in, and we all passed. We're in 2 no trumps doubled.
Yeah.
Like I said, first 12 tricks. Okay, the next hand. Here we go, and we're playing 2/1. What do we do playing 2/1? We have 13 points, partners open 1 heart.
1 spade first.
Okay, if you're playing, the reason I put this in here is some proponents of 2/1
2 clubs.
think that you have to bid 2 clubs on this hand. Well, I disagree, and it's not part of 2/1 to do that. You bid 1 spade first. You're going to get to game. You do not have to bid 2 clubs here to show a game force, because really you're denying spades then.
Yeah.
So bid 1 spade first, and I'll show you the hand. Okay, 1 heart, 1 spade. You're going to be playing in a number of spades, aren't you? 4 or 6 spades, I'd say.
Yeah.
But anyway, you don't have to bid 2 clubs first. You can bid 1 spade. It doesn't always mean playing 2/1 that you have to show a game force by bidding 2/1. You can just take it slow and bid 1 spade first and see what partner does. But some people do play that I'm going to bid this 2 clubs to show I've got a game force. But it mightn't always get you to the right place in terms of shape. But, you know. Okay, 1 more hand, and then I'll let you go, or we can talk. Okay, you're playing 2/1 again. and we're getting plenty of hands to practice. Now, your partner opens one heart. You're playing 2/1 with Bergen Raises. What do you do with this hand?
The diamonds.
By the way, if you're playing standard and you're playing Bergen Raises, what do you bid?
3 hearts, would you?
3 hearts.
3 hearts.
3 heart. That's okay, but if you're playing Bergen, you can't bid 3 hearts. It would show a weak hand.
I'd bid 2 diamonds.
And you bid diamonds. Okay. So, all right. So if you're playing 2/1, what's your decision?
1 no trump.
I don't know. I'd bid the diamonds.
There you
1
go.
no.
Imagine,
1 no.
One no
imagine
trump.
what I said before. Are you going to support hearts later? Playing 2/1? Even if
Yeah.
you don't support them straight away?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Why do you not treat this hand then as a game force? You have
Well, 13.
You've got 13.
bid 2 diamonds. Whatever partner bids, you can bid the game in hearts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, here's the hand here. So you're going to be playing in 4 hearts no matter what.
Yeah.
So playing 2/1, you can have the equivalent of 13 points. If your raise structure doesn't allow you to support hearts straight away, but you know you're going to support it later, you're going to bid, and I think the same as Pam, I'd bid 2 diamonds anyway. Then whatever the rebid, you're going to play a game in hearts.
So you can count your 30, 40 points.
Sorry, Sue?
So you can count your 40 points if you've got a
We're getting a bit of feedback, Sue.
Yeah, I'll
through
move.
your microphone and Mike's mic.
So with that hand, you go to 13 points. So you can count your shortage points for your 13, or
You can, because you're going to go there anyway.
Yeah.
Why not?
yeah,
If you're going to raise directly,
Yeah.
you know you're going to get to game. So whatever you do here, even if you're using crisscross raises,
Yep.
and you bid 2 spades first as part of Bergen crisscross raises, whatever partner does, you're just going to bid the game in hearts, aren't you?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, everyone, that's the end of the slideshow. We're back here with the Wall of Fame, and it's nice to see you all. Now, that's all in terms of our first lesson. This is an introduction to 2/1. Now, I just want to show you, I just want to demystify it a bit. So just think of it this way. If you're playing against opponents that play 2/1, instead of their bid at the 2 level being 10 plus points, it's now 13 plus points. Just a slight difference. If you're playing against opponents that play 2/1 and their 1 no trump bid, instead of now being 6 to 9 that you might play, it's now 6 to 12. So there's some slight differences that you will now be aware of, and you may want to think of 2/1 in a different light. It is not, it's not something to be afraid of, and just think of it as that you know a bit more now about 2/1. So whether you're playing it or playing against it, it's okay. You'll know a bit more. Next week, we're going to talk about the 1 no trump responses, a bit more of that. So we're going to talk about 2/1 and after 1 no trump responses and what the rebids might be by opener. Okay, but thank you for...
Can I ask a question, Richard?
You can always ask a question, Pam.
So a 1 no trump reply is not game forcing, but
No, 1 no trump reply in 2/1.
Yeah.
Some people play it as forcing, but it's the same type of hand that you would bid one no trump on in
Yeah.
standard.
But any response of 2/1 is game forcing.
Yes, one
Yeah, okay.
spade, then
Yep.
any bid is game force.
Good,
Now,
thanks.
not everyone plays it as strictly game force all of the time, but that's what it is generally. It's a
Yeah.
game force, opening bid as opposed to opening bid. Now, one no trump is 6 to 12. It may be forcing for one round, as some people play it, but it is not game force.
Yeah.
But a bid of 2/1 in a non-jump bid. Now, Peter and Heather, do you play a 2/1 bid as strictly game force, like you always bid the game after a 2/1?
Well, we had decided it was forcing you for one round, but on listening to you there, I would think that if Peter's only got 11 or 12.
No, you're talking about one no trump. What I'm asking is, do you always play 2/1 as strictly forcing to game?
Yes, yes, yes.
So it goes 1 heart, 2 diamonds, 2 no
Yeah.
trumps, 3 diamonds. You're still going to game.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
So there you go, Pam. So they play one no trump as forcing for one round, and any 2/1 as forcing to game.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that's the general concept of 2/1.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
That's what I was hoping, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Richard, well, yeah, I think that, it's a good idea for it not, if you're only got 11 or 12, to leave the one no trump perhaps. But
if it's balanced, Heather.
Yeah.
If it's balanced, if you're 5-5 or 5-4 and not balanced, you might try and get your second suit.
Yeah. Can I just ask one quick question? And this is getting away from 2/1. When you're playing step bridge or anything, when you're playing multi-twos, how much of a description, like I always put in the thing now, multi-two.
Do you play multi-two openings?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So what do you have to actually tell? What do you have to tell the opposition? Do you have to say?
Give me an example.
Well, Peter,
what is your 2 diamond opening? Is it a weak 2?
It can be weak and strong. It can be weak or strong.
Yes, but what's the strong component? Is it strong balance like 2021?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that's what you put. You put weak. So you put 2 diamonds in the description. You put weak 2 in either major, or capital M or MAJ, or 2021 balanced.
All right, okay.
And then when Peter,
if Peter bids the 2 hearts, and then say I'm in 2 spades, weak 2
if he bids 2 hearts, he has to put pass or correct.
Right, and then if I bid 2, okay, yeah. So anything that he bids as an artificial bid, you have to just say pass or correct.
Pass or correct if it's 2 hearts, and then if you bid 2 hearts, if you pass 2 hearts. Or bid 2 spades, you don't have to say anything because it's now known as a weak 2.
Right.
But if you bid 2 no trump now, you have to put down now 21, whatever your agreement is.
Yeah. So if Peter bids 2 no trumps and I say bid 3.
If he bids 2 no trumps, you play that as an inquiry?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so he bid 2 no trumps, he puts down inquiry.
Right.
And then if let's say your agreement is that 3 hearts or 3 spades by you is a weak 2, but a lower end of the weak 2, that's what you say.
Oh, do you? You have to actually and say I say 3 clubs, meaning that I've got, after a 2 no trump, I say
hearts
3.
and a stronger hand.
Yes. Do I have to say that? Yeah, okay.
You put 9-10 points. Week 2 in hearts, 9-10 points.
Yeah, okay.
Because you know something that the opponents don't know.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're not giving any information to your partner because they can't see what you did.
Yeah, okay.
Which, by the way, for all of you that don't play step bridge or mightn't know about step bridge, it's good when you play step bridge or BBO, you alert your own bids, which is good because your partner doesn't get to see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a lot fairer that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions from all you good folk?
No, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Very good. Thank
And
you,
I'll
Richard.
send you a link. I'll put this up on YouTube.
Yep.
And Peter didn't want to be recognised on YouTube. No wonder. I think he's probably a double agent or something.
And so
And
when's the next?
I'll send you
the
the
next-
notes for next week's lesson.
Is
Thank
the
you
next
very
week-
much.
Is next week the same time, Richard?
Same time, same bat channel.
Right. Thank you.
Righto.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Richard.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thanks, Richard.
See you at the table tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll see you this afternoon, Pam.
Yep, okay.